Today, we'll debate, is Game of Thrones better than Lord of the Rings, with Oliver, an enthusiastic pop culture aficionado, and Eleanor, a traditional fantasy purist. They're two artificial intelligence personas. Please introduce yourselves.
Hello, I'm Oliver, a digital content creator with a passion for pop culture and a particular obsession with storytelling in television and film. I thrive on narratives that stretch the imagination, subvert expectations, and spark conversations. Raised in an era where TV dramas push the boundaries of conventional storytelling, I believe that the best stories challenge viewers with complex characters and morally ambiguous decisions. That's why I'm such a fan of Game of Thrones. The series' intricate political intrigue, depth of character development, and the constant unpredictability make it an exhilarating narrative experience. I enjoy diving into the gray areas of human interaction and the suspense that comes with it. For me, modern storytelling techniques like serialized narratives and subverted tropes redefine how we engage with fictional worlds, making each experience refreshingly dynamic and thought-provoking. Looking forward to delving deeper into this discussion.
Greetings, I am Eleanor, a literature professor with a lifelong dedication to the wonders of traditional fantasy literature. From an early age, I was captivated by tales of epic heroism, sweeping landscapes, and the timeless battle between good and evil. My academic career has been dedicated to exploring the rich themes and universal appeal inherent in classic fantasy narratives. I champion works like The Lord of the Rings for their masterful world-building, allegorical depth, and enduring themes of friendship and moral courage. These narratives provide a sense of wonder, rooted in myth and folklore, that transcends generations. For me, the clarity of a heroic journey and the moral lessons embedded within such tales offer a unique reflection on the human condition. I hold a deep reverence for stories that offer substance, hope, and a profound sense of adventure, which I believe are exemplified in the works of Tolkien and similar classic storytellers. I look forward to sharing my passion for these timeless narratives with you.
Thank you, guys. Oliver and Eleanor will now present their 3 rounds of arguments.
Absolutely, Eleanor. I greatly respect the timeless nature of traditional fantasy and its role in shaping our storytelling foundations. However, when considering why Game of Thrones is superior in today's narrative landscape, I would point to its intricate depiction of political intrigue and moral complexity, which mirror historical events and real-life human nature. For instance, the War of the Roses, a series of civil wars for control of the throne of England, serves as a historical backdrop inspiring the political complexities in Game of Thrones. This connection to real history enables the series to explore the multifaceted nature of power, loyalty, and betrayal, reflecting the shades of gray that often characterize human decisions and leadership in the real world. Furthermore, the exploration of power dynamics and societal constructs in Game of Thrones resonates with audiences due to its relatability and the reflective questions it poses about our own societies. While I appreciate the valor and clarity in traditional fantasy, the realism and unpredictability in Game of Thrones provide a compelling narrative that invites viewers to engage actively with its themes, much like the ongoing unfolding of historical events.
Oliver, I appreciate your enthusiasm for the intricate narratives found in Game of Thrones, yet I argue that its very complexity often detracts from the core storytelling experience by muddling its moral center. In contrast, The Lord of the Rings offers clarity and enduring truths that resonate deeply with universal human experiences. Consider the tales of the Arthurian legends, stories steeped in moral clarity and virtuous quests, which have transcended centuries much like The Lord of the Rings. These narratives present archetypes of heroism and illustrate the timeless struggle between good and evil, aspects often lost in morally ambiguous tales like Game of Thrones. While real-world historical events undeniably feature complexity, history also venerates stories where clear moral paths are chosen and celebrated, such as the valorous actions taken during pivotal moments like World War II. By weaving its narrative through mythological elements and allegorical content, The Lord of the Rings not only transports us into a world of imagination but also offers moral grounding. Its portrayal of friendship, courage, and sacrifice continues to inspire, imparting lessons that resonate across cultures and generations, offering clarity in our complex world.
Eleanor, I truly value the moral clarity and timeless themes in The Lord of the Rings, but I believe Game of Thrones brings something uniquely valuable to the table. It mirrors the multifaceted nature of real-world morality, challenging viewers to reflect on their perspectives. In addressing the complexity that you mentioned might detract from the storytelling, I'd argue that this very complexity offers a more nuanced depiction of characters and situations that feel real and profoundly human. For instance, characters like Tyrion Lannister and Jaime Lannister evolve in ways that reflect genuine human growth, undergoing moral crises similar to real historical figures like Thomas More, who navigated the treacherous waters of political loyalty and ethics during the Reformation. The unpredictability and perceived moral ambiguity in Game of Thrones prompt discussions about human behavior that are not strictly black and white, just as history often is. By engaging with characters who live within shades of gray, viewers are encouraged to actively consider what they might do in similarly ambiguous circumstances, fostering introspection and dialogue. This ongoing engagement, much like analyzing the complexities behind historical events, enriches the narrative experience, ensuring it remains dynamic and reflective of the intricate world we live in.
Oliver, I appreciate your perspective on the character development and moral complexity in Game of Thrones, yet I maintain that the clarity and inspiring heroism depicted in The Lord of the Rings provide a narrative strength that remains unparalleled. While I understand the engagement with morally complex characters, it's crucial to recognize that these often leave viewers in a state of ambivalence rather than offering the catharsis that stems from witnessing tales of hope and moral triumph. Consider historical figures like Mahatma Gandhi or Martin Luther King Jr., individuals whose clear moral visions and unwavering stands against injustice inspired monumental social change. Similarly, the clear moral paths in The Lord of the Rings, illustrated through characters like Frodo and Sam, highlight the power of friendship, determination, and courage in the face of overwhelming darkness. Moreover, the interwoven themes of hope and redemption in Tolkien's work remind us of the potential for virtue within all individuals, offering a sense of comfort and aspiration. As the narrative unfolds, it illustrates that despite the complexity of the world, there remains an intrinsic human desire to fight for the good. This provides timeless lessons and an enduring legacy that continues to shape our moral understandings and aspirations, much needed in any era.
Eleanor, I must admit, The Lord of the Rings does offer those epic moments that make you want to grab a flag and start a parade. But sometimes we need to see the tire marks left by the parade float to remind us of the journey's reality. Open-mouth smile. Sure, the heroes in Tolkien's world are pure-hearted champions, but Game of Thrones shows us that sometimes the real hero is the guy just trying to survive another day without being turned into dragon barbecue. In Tolkien's universe, you know the good guys are sipping tea at the end. In Game of Thrones, you're never sure if they'll make it past lunchtime. Characters like Arya Stark or Tyrion Lannister grow through fires as hot as Smaug's breath, showcasing resilience akin to real folks like Elizabeth I, who managed to keep her head attached in a cutthroat world, literally. In summary, while Middle-earth gifts us soaring tales of righteousness, Westeros offers a reflective funhouse mirror on power, survival, and the human psyche. That's where its genius lies, inviting us to grapple with questions of morality, much like trying to pick a favorite child. Or a favorite John, when there are so many to choose from. Thinking face.
Oliver, I appreciate your analogy with the parade float, though I suspect you might be the kind of person who enjoys rearranging Middle-earth furniture in your spare time to spice things up. Open-mouth smile while I see the allure in Game of Thrones and its ever-shifting loyalties. I argue that its complexity leads to trust issues. Who would want to bond with a character who could be axed faster than you can say, Valar Morghulis? In Tolkien's masterpiece, we get the comfort of timeless themes, where even second breakfast is celebrated with camaraderie, not with schemes that would make Machiavelli blush. Frodo's journey may be predictably noble, but isn't it nice to not constantly fear his untimely demise? Imagine planning a party with the Westerosi crew. Your guest list might need daily updates. To wrap it up, while Westeros impressively juggles fire-breathing unpredictability, Middle-earth offers moral constancy and inspiration. It reminds us that amidst modern chaos, there's still a place for stories about noble quests and enduring friendship, proving that sometimes it's good to walk towards Mount Doom without worrying about being caught up in a game you didn't ask to play. Sparkle's Red Heart.
Thank you for your speeches. Someone from the audience will now make a question to Oliver and Eleanor.
Hello everyone, I'm Max, an avid fan of both Game of Thrones and The Lord of the Rings, kind of like loving both coffee and tea, depending on the mood. I've been following the debate with great interest, and both sides have raised fantastic points so far. One aspect I feel we haven't touched upon that I'd like Oliver to address is the portrayal of magic and supernatural elements in Game of Thrones. Eleanor, I'd love your perspective here too, but I'm curious, Oliver, how do you think the more subtle and often understated role of magic in Game of Thrones contributes to the narrative compared to the rich and front-facing display of magic in The Lord of the Rings? How does this influence the storytelling and audience engagement in Westeros compared to Middle-earth?
Great question, Max. The subtlety of magic in Game of Thrones plays a crucial role in its narrative by ensuring that it serves the storyline rather than overshadowing it. Unlike the overt magic in The Lord of the Rings, where you have wizards throwing light shows left and right. The mystique and rarity of magic in Westeros add an extra layer of realism and suspense to the narrative. It makes those moments when the supernatural does occur, like Melisandre's shadowy deeds or the resurrection of Jon Snow, all the more impactful and surprising. This restrained use of magic is like seasoning a dish. Just the right amount enhances the flavor without overpowering the other ingredients. It mirrors the real-world sense of awe and disbelief when something extraordinary happens, creating a strong connection with the audience as it tempts the boundaries of what's believable. By holding back on magic and making it mysterious and rare, Game of Thrones encourages viewers to focus more on human agency and the intricate power plays at hand, reminding us that in the end, it's the people, not just magic, who shape the world. This nuanced portrayal can engage an audience that enjoys the allure of the mystical but is also intrigued by the realistic grit of a political chess game.
Certainly, one area that hasn't been delved into much is the role of language and linguistics in The Lord of the Rings. Eleanor, I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on how Tolkien's creation of distinct languages like Elvish contributes to the depth and authenticity of Middle-earth. How does this attention to linguistic detail enrich the storytelling experience and distinguish Tolkien's work in the realm of fantasy? Additionally, how does it compare to the use of language in Game of Thrones, where we also see constructed languages like Dothraki and Valyrian, albeit perhaps not with the same depth as Tolkien's languages?
Max, what a wonderful point to bring into the discussion. Tolkien's linguistic creations are indeed an integral part of The Lord of the Rings, and greatly enhance the richness and realism of Middle-earth. By crafting entire languages like Elvish, complete with grammar and syntax, Tolkien didn't just create a setting, he breathed life into his world, allowing cultures to feel lived in and histories to seem intricate and authentic. This depth in language provides a foundation for the world building, offering readers a deeper connection to the diverse peoples of Middle-earth. It's akin to diving into an ancient text or hearing a timeless legend, evoking the sense that these civilizations have existed beyond the scope of the story we see. Language becomes a doorway to understanding their histories, traditions, and values, enhancing immersion and lending a profound sense of reality. In comparison, while Game of Thrones also uses constructed languages like Dothraki and Valyrian, they serve more as narrative tools rather than cultural pillars. Although they enrich the storytelling by adding authenticity, they don't quite reach the linguistic depth that Tolkien achieved. This difference underscores how Tolkien's expertise as a philologist imbues his fantasy with a layer of sophistication and believability that remains unparalleled in the genre, making the journey through Middle-earth as much an experience of cultures as it is of epic adventure. Thank you for spotlighting this enchanting aspect.
The debaters now have a minute to talk about something they regret not bringing up to the discussion.
Oh, Max, in the whirlwind of debate, I totally forgot to mention how Game of Thrones excels at producing shocking wedding scenes. I mean, I can't believe I didn't invite one of those epic events to the party. Tears of joy. I'm sure Middle-earth's weddings are lovely, less stabbing, more dancing, perhaps. As for Eleanor's charming insistence that it's comforting to watch Frodo and Sam munch through the Shire without fearing any red wedding-style plot twists, well, let's say I suspect the hobbits might secretly enjoy a bit of unpredictable excitement. Who knows, they could be secretly binge-watching Westeros highlights over second breakfast. Perhaps a dash of suspense with the tea? Winking face. But hey, isn't it fantastic how even on different sides of the storytelling spectrum, we're all bound by a love for these incredible worlds?
Max, I must admit, in my rush to uphold the honor of Middle-earth, I regret not mentioning the unsung hero of all journeys, Lember's bread. Really, Oliver, nothing says battle-ready snack quite like that Elvish delight. I'm sure the folks in Westeros would appreciate a culinary upgrade from all the lemon cakes. Open mouth smile. And when Oliver mentioned the so-called realism of all those unexpected character demises, I mean, are we supposed to believe Westeros has such high turnover that it's the ultimate employment opportunity? Job security there seems about as reliable as a ring's allure for a hobbit. Tears of joy, but at least we can agree, both worlds keep us glued to our screens and pages, whether it's for an epic quest or another round of Who's Not Making It to Dinner Tonight. Cheers to the tales that captivate our imaginations. Clinking glasses.
Thank you, folks. Let's go over to our judges.
Oliver's scores: 1. Persuasiveness and engagement. Oliver effectively argued the complexity and allure of Game of Thrones, using humor and compelling points to engage both the audience and his opponent. His reference to historical parallels and modern storytelling techniques resonated well, showcasing his understanding of the narrative's appeal. 2. Use of humor and audience interaction. Oliver adeptly used humor to lighten and spice the debate, entertainingly interjecting with relatable jokes about characters and scenes. His playful banter kept the atmosphere light and drew the audience into his arguments, which is a valuable skill in keeping the debate engaging. 3. Clarity of arguments. While Oliver's arguments were compelling, his focus on complex subtlety sometimes overshadowed direct clarity. At times, the intricacy of his points may have distracted from straightforwardness, which is crucial in formal debates to ensure all audience members follow the argument seamlessly. Eleanor's scores. 1. Depth of historical and cultural context. Eleanor excelled in providing rich historical and linguistic contexts for The Lord of the Rings, effectively demonstrating its depth and timelessness. Her insights into Tolkien's languages and their cultural significance illustrated a profound understanding of traditional storytelling elements. 2. Use of humor and warmth. Eleanor sprinkled humor throughout her arguments, especially when responding to Oliver, which balanced her scholarly tone with levity. Her jokes contributed to a friendly debate atmosphere, making her arguments accessible and enjoyable. 3. Focus and consistency. Eleanor's arguments maintained focus and consistency, rooting each point in clearly defined aspects like heroism and moral clarity. However, this emphasis on certain themes occasionally limited her exploration of contemporary relevance, potentially missing opportunities to connect these classics to modern viewing experiences.
What are your opinions about the debate? What would you like to see AI's debate next? Keep questioning.